Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick and today guys we're going to be jumping down into the world of Cardano, taking a look at what's been going on most recently and what we would expect to happen next. As I get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, smash the like button. I do appreciate that. If you're new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe. Tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. And if you haven't yet joined us in Discord, guys, you're missing a trick. Join us down in Discord, links in the description down below. It's completely free. It's a fantastic community talking crypto 24/7, and it's the first place that we go to notify you of what is happening in the space. So why not go ahead and check it out in the description below. Okay. Cardano paired up with USDT on the hourly chart. Binance is our data source, and we're just going to reflect on the fact that we have come up to this recent target in the previous video. So what we want to do is we just want to kind of assess whether or not we have more to go to the upside here, or whether or not we are finally looking at this next kind of larger correction to the downside. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to start things off over here on the left hand side, and we're going to take this high point, we're going to take this low point, if I can get it, there we go. We're going to move the fibs over, and we can see that we come up to the 3280. Okay, so our bigger ABC structure here looks to be complete. There is, of course, this one just here. Okay, if I measure this and I move it over to here, we have slightly higher to go. Get that right on there. It's about 33.22 cent. Okay, so there is a potential move here to the upside, but it is minor. Okay, and I say this because we've already started to deviate away from here. However, if we start to reflect on this entire structure being 3 here, we could potentially still come up there a little ways, and if I put that there, you can kind of see 33.39. So when I start thinking about the subwave counting, there's still possibly a little bit more to the upside to be had. So I want to keep a close eye on that. Now, as I kind of put this line down here, I'm going to make this red just so we can easily see it. This one would be our invalidation line. Essentially this here, if we were to drop down lower than 30 cent, that's going to put an end to that potential up there. But to be fair, by the time we pull back quite significantly, we should notice that that's going to be quite hard to hit those higher points. And in fact, I think we could also argue that if we were to drop down to about 3106 or lower, we could also potentially mark this as complete just up here as well. So I do think that as time progresses here, we're going to start to see these lines get crossed. And we can start to say, okay, yes, we're ushering in our lows, of which I'm estimating still to be 27.7 and 28.8 cent. So those lows are still very much valid. Now, if I come up to the 4 hourly, you can see that we hit this kind of larger ABC structure, 3-wave structure, and then we start to pull to the downside. Okay, so essentially this is an ending diagonal structure made up of 3 waves. So let me just find an empty space and I'll show you what I mean. We have kind of 3 waves coming down in our wave 1 position. We would have 3 waves coming up in our wave 2 position. We'd have 3 waves coming down in our wave 3 position, 3 waves up in our wave 4, and then finally, where I think we're heading is that final 5th wave low point to the downside. This essentially is a wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And if I remove all of the subwave counts, you'll see that it will look like this by the time it's actually complete. Okay, and you end up with this diagonal 5-wave structure where wave 4 does intersect with wave 1. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that. Now, there are a couple of concerns that I have with this at the moment. Wave 3 cannot be the shortest wave, yet when I kind of dissect this down a little bit, if I grab the first set of waves here, the wave 1, move it over to the wave 2, we can see that our wave 3 is shorter than wave 1 at the moment, and I don't like that normally. So I want to be aware that this actually could be more of a diagonal, like a contracting diagonal, or it's probably a contracting diagonal. It's really hard to say with these movements on Cardano at the moment, but I am confident that we are in a wave 5. It's just really difficult to tell exactly what type of pattern we are on at this point in time. But I'm expecting 3 waves down. That's kind of where I'm thinking, and I am still thinking that this is going to be 27.7 and 28.8, somewhere in this little range down here. To complete this entire structure off. But I don't like, as I said, that way through. It is throwing me off just a little bit here. Okay, so this ABC in the middle. Alternatively, of course, this is just a big ABC and it's all a wave 1, that's a wave 2. We're going to have a significant drop to the downside. I don't think that's the case, but it's always a possibility as well that I'm keeping an eye on. Now, as I kind of come up into our daily time frame, you can kind of see the bigger picture here, which is that we are looking to move down overall. And again, I've got this kind of area scoped out between 19.6 and 22.89. And the reason for this actually comes all the way back over here in December of 2020. As you can kind of see over here, we left this gap behind. We tested the lows, we pushed all the way through, we tested the upper end, and then we rallied, but we haven't actually come back down and retested this middle area. Now, I don't think it's a coincidence that 22.23 cent happens to be inside this area either. So a wick down a little bit, maybe just to fill the void, wouldn't necessarily be something I would mind. So when I take a look at it and I zoom it out just a fraction further here, you can kind of see the structure of what's been occurring and our move to the downside. I would expect 5 waves in the next kind of cycle to the upside, as I spoke about previously. But until there, we've actually finished this low point, we should be thinking that there's actually a lot of corrective structures that are going on. It does look like we are going down in 5 as I am measuring that final 5th wave, 1, 2, 3, 4, and potentially 5 coming down into those low points. And so do think about that, but for the most part, everything's looking pretty good here on the front of Cardano. I'm not overly concerned about anything, and everything is just looking a little bit fine. Now, if I bring up the stochastic RSIs, we can of course see that we are about midway on this hourly. We're oversold on the 4 hourly, overbought on the daily. Let's just check that. Let's actually just bring this up here for a second and check our 8 hourly variant. Almost oversold. So I think we're getting to a point where we're getting close to a move to the upside. The larger time frames, such as the 12-hour, the 16-hour, the 20-hour, and the daily, these all need to have corrections, but everything on the smaller time frames are looking okay. So we still could potentially be looking at that small push to the upside before we actually do end up moving back down. But for the most part, Cardano is looking like it is progressing quite nicely. So it's going to be interesting to kind of see whether this structure has finally finished, whether or not we do have that higher point, or whether or not we can start to pull on down here. I think there's a bit of volatility to be expected after recently pulling down the way that we have done. So do watch that space. But for now, I'm going to leave this video right there. If you found it useful and informative, smash the like button. I do appreciate that. If you're new, subscribe and join us down in Discord for more updates. Until the next one, guys, have a fantastic day.